Richards tries to scoot in there alone. It pinballs to the goose.
Let's get it.
Oh my God! Here we go.
You're listening to the Street Bullies podcast with your hosts, Derek.
How you gonna get it, Bobby?
John. Matt Casey.
Unnecessary, but totally necessary.
And Hoagie.
What's not to love?
It's happening, everybody. Welcome to another episode, a long-awaited episode of the Street Bullies. My name is Derek. Wait a second.
And John is not here, everybody.
John is not here. Hoagie is correct. We do not have John with us tonight. He is going to miss one hell of an episode here because we've got the only thing so far that's happened this offseason to discuss, and it's a doozy.
John had work to do.
Poor guy. I'll tell you, man.
I get the summers off.
All work, no play makes Johnny a dull boy. But as you've heard, yes, Hoagie is with us.
What's going on, everybody?
And Matt Casey.
I'm just marveling at Hoagie's gold chain. What is that?
It's an eagle.
It's an eagle.
There you go.
You wore an Eagles chain on a Flyers podcast.
It's an eagle, not for the Eagles.
Ah.
All right.
I
don't know if I want to dig deper into Hoagie's.
It's an Eagle Scout thing. That's fine.
An Eagle Scout thing. Oh, okay. Maybe after the show you can help me tie a knot. Anyways, guys, we're just going to cut to the chase here. Biggest thing that's happened so far this offseason. And honestly, we'll get to it again. Fantastic stuff.
I would argue the biggest trade we've had in probably 3 years. Yeah.
A long time. A very long time. And it's got us feeling some sort of way. It's got a lot of us feeling some sort of way. But Ivan Provorov on his way out. Ivan Provorov is now a Columbus Blue Jacket. It is a 3-team deal. The synopsis of the trade is Philadelphia gets one hell of a haul. They get the 22nd overall pick from Columbus. They get 2 second-round picks, one this year, one next year. It is conditional. Didn't look up the condition on that, so that's my fault.
You want that? I have it.
Hoagie's got it. That's why we've got you here.
I got the brain on Hoagie. Got the goods.
Columbus must decide after the 2024 first round is complete if they're sending a 2024 second-round pick or the 2025 second-round pick.
Interesting. So are they on the clock like the 33rd pick in the NHL draft?
I guess.
I guess we'll see how that unfolds.
Yeah.
But
it's a little obnoxious.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Kind of a weird condition, but hey, whatever. It got us another second-round pick somewhere down the line. And on top of that, we have Sean Walker, defenseman from the LA Kings. Looks to be about a sixth defenseman potentially. Cal Peterson, a goalie who we'll get into a little bit here, and Helga Granz. I'm probably mispronouncing that somehow. Helga. But
vroom vroom party starter.
I've got my thoughts on that move there, bringing him in. But in exchange, LA basically retains 30% of Provorov's contract, flips him to the Blue Jackets, and everyone's favorite Double H, Hayden Hodgson, is now an LA King, along with Kevin Connaughton. So
the Connaughton era has ended. That's the real story here.
Right? No more shake and bake. Unfortunate. But getting into this here, I guess knee-jerk reactions, guys, when you first heard about the news, because we were going back and forth in the group chat about it between all four of us, John included, as well as the Flyers High and Wide group chat, where there's a plethora of us between us, Tie My Skates, High and Wide. I mean, Christ, knee-jerk reaction. I'll start with you, Hoagie.
I was shocked that it was going down because I'm not used to trades happening during the Stanley Cup Finals of this caliber. Usually, it's picks or prospects or something like that. I'm excited for it. It's just kind of like, that's ice in the background.
What is that?
The door's even like kind of closed. But I this is just me being excited because they're finally doing what we've been asking them to do, and they're going full rebuild. They're not running it back. They're changing some faces, and I'm so excited for it.
I'm with you there. Matt Casey, your initial reaction when you heard the news here?
Yeah, without getting too far in depth, the knee-jerk reaction was like, wow, I feel like we actually got a fair value for this, which I think we're all so used to that just dump it. Just get whatever you can get. Just dump it. I was like, wow, we got what for what? Like that's actually pretty legit. And so that was my first. I don't really care that much about during the Stanley Cup. That's an unsaid rule. Who gives a crap? Like those, who cares?
Right. Did we hurt your feelings?
Yeah. Oh God, I'm so sorry. We took a headlines. Like, believe me, like nobody really, is paying that much attention outside of LA, Columbus, and Philadelphia.
Right.
But I think I was pleased, and I'm pleased to see that there's actually action being taken, like on the early side of this trading season.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's encouraging because this is what this team set out to do when they brought Danny Briere in, removed the interim title, brought in Keith Jones. They were set to make a splash. And historically speaking, too, the new regime, whenever they come into Philadelphia, typically makes some sort of splash. With Fletcher, it was getting rid of Gudas, bringing on Niskanen, bringing Braun in as well. You saw that initial move, and everybody's like, it leaves a good taste in your mouth, which I think this has. I think, suffice to say, this is a pretty damn good return, all things considered. Down here for Provorov, the BS in regards to Pride Night and everything, and just public image-wise, this is a really good return. I mean, we get another first-round pick this year in a deep draft. We get a second-round pick in this draft as well, which could be used.
We don't have one in this draft.
We got Columbus's for this year. We got 2 second-round picks.
No, it's next year's second rounder.
Hold on a second. I was under the assumption we got 2 second-round picks here. Did we get?
They're both 2024s. One's LA's and one's Columbus's.
Okay. So that's a mistake there. Regardless, it's draft capital. Could we be seeing them stock up on the prospects and the picks as draft capital to potentially make a move and maybe move up from that 7 spot? Matt Casey?
I don't know, man. I don't know if you got a top 10 pick in a very deep draft, and then you have an additional, number 22 pick that goes in with that. That gives you some wiggle room, especially because you're not picking in the second. Like, of course, you'd rather have 2 first-round picks in one of the deepest drafts in 15, 20 years, whatever it is. I have a tough time believing that they're going to spend this draft capital to move up 3 spots or whatever it is. Like, I don't know if there's going to be that big of value, because I'm assuming that the number 1 and number 2 spots, they're not going to get moved.
No.
And so, like, between 3 and 7, is there that much of a difference between players? Maybe not. I don't know. I think like draft is too much of a risk to give up and gamble unless you have an absolute sure thing.
I'd argue Carlson at number 3 is probably a lock. But is it, like you said, is it worth that? Like, you could get still a Benson. You could get the guy that Jim's been fangirling over, Ryan Leonard. Like, you could get those types of players at number 7 potentially. Maybe a Michkov if he slides and Briere's feeling a little bit frisky because you've got another pick.
Well, that's the thing, is I think it gives you flexibility to
gamble,
a stronger consideration to get Michkov, because like you have a 22 as a safety net where you can make a safer pick, and yes, it's not going to be that great, but a 22 pick, as they said on Meltzer and Martinez said today, like, that was Simone Gagne. That was Claude Giroux. Like, there is certainly value in a 22 pick.
It was also a Yerman Rupstov.
And Boucher.
You gotta blow that up, dude.
Just here to bring everybody back down to earth.
But it's a little bit of luck. I have a tough time unless you have like one guy circled that you're like, this is the guy who is going to like bring our franchise to the next level. I just have a tough time believing that any of these guys are an absolute sure thing that you're going to spend legit draft capital on it. I would much rather use it for a larger team-to-team trade versus a draft trade.
Sure. And I think, I mean, we all heard the rumors about, Carter Hart and a deal in place for that and what that might turn into. Like, those are just rumors, and we'll get into it later after we get done discussing the Provorov deal. However, Hoagie, in terms of what you think with regards to the draft capital being acquired, is there a bigger move at play here, or is this something that you think Briere, I don't want to say stands pat, but is just socking it all back so that he's got it?
I think he's just going to kind of hold on to it because he has it. Getting that number 22 overall pick kind of just makes me feel better because we still don't have that second round pick. So we're pretty much getting a steal at number 22 without having, to maybe have somebody drop to the second round and get the steal there. So I'm excited for that number 22, and I think we should hold on to it and use both picks and just stock the cabinets. Why not? Mm-hmm. But Briere has also said they're open for business. If a deal's on the table that shocks them and blows them away, they're ready for it. I'm just glad that he is saying the path and he is taking that path. Like he's not bouncing around. Like for once, we actually had a general manager who won a trade for once. Like we didn't get this with Chuck Fletcher. He was terrible.
Let's pump the brakes on that. It's like it's tough to. We're not going to be able to evaluate this trade for like 3 years.
Right.
Until we see how a guy like Grant pans out.
You know what I'm saying? Like we actually got a return that
sure. There's no doubt.
Right now, a return that actually looks very good on paper. I'm excited about because with Chuck, it was just like, we're giving away picks to get this player. We're doing a pick and a player for nothing.
That's the big thing that separates this deal from a lot of the previous deals under Chuck is that we didn't have to attach a pick. We didn't have to attach something else just to get rid of a guy.
We didn't have to retain salary. Like
you're right. LA did that for us. But however, when you're looking at this deal as well, LA benefited from it because they got the dump salary. Like they got rid of Walker's contract.
My question, I was like, what does LA get out of this? And it's a salary dump, basically.
Salary dump.
Pretty much.
Cal Peterson's $5 million.
Yeah. Walker expires at the end of the year. Peterson expires at the end of 24-25. So term-wise, those deals are off the books before Provorov's would have been. So in the long run, yes, it'll save us some money. But also in the long run, you get a guy like Grands who, honestly, I thought this was I think it was the first year that I really delved into prospects because it was right about when John and I started this podcast. And we were looking at, where prospects were going to fall. And Grands was one of the names that was right on that cusp of being a first rounder. So and
break down, like, what do you, like, who is he? What does he do?
Well, God damn it. It's been so long. Like, I couldn't tell you.
How's his wingspan?
He's a big guy. Apparently he's not like some type of offensive dynamo, but he's got some pretty solid offensive prowess. Hoagie, I mean, do you have anything to add in regards to this?
I'm just going to read right off of the league prospects because I don't know anything about him, honestly. From the 2020 draft guide, he'll walk offensive blue line with puck on a stick with relative ease, mitigate risk while maintaining an aggressive, space-consuming posture when defending the defensive blue line. He skates well, has a long reach, and an active stick, and good habits with his footwork. I mean, that does kind of sound like Phil Myers to a T.
And what he was a bottom pairing in LA or what?
No, he's a prospect.
AHL.
So he's played 2 seasons with Ontario Reign, 24 points at 56, and then 9 points at 59.
Yeah, so this year was a bit of a regression for him. But, again, in a system like LA, I mean, their defense is all right. It's not bad, but it's not fantastic. Like, he probably could have cracked the top 6 next year, maybe. I mean, and on a team like the Flyers, I think he might get a spot out of camp if he earns it.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, if what you guys are saying, it gives us a lot of defensive prospects in our pipeline now, which is good. Between Zamula, who's the guy we brought up late at the end of last year?
Ronnie Addard.
No, the guy from like Sweden or what the hell?
Andrea.
Andre.
Yeah.
Emil Andre.
So all of a sudden it's like, okay, the blue line, at least we have some notable prospects. I think, back to tying this back to the Provorov thing, like it's a hole to fill. Like there's no doubt about it. That's a 25-minute a night hole to
something
fill.
like that on average. Yeah.
Every single game. And I think like we are gonna miss that. And I think there's no doubt that Provorov has plateaued, and I don't think his value is going to get any higher than it is right now, and honestly could quite frankly, dip with another year on the Flyers. So, like, I think it's the right move, but I think, as you said, with the off-ice stuff, I'm totally cool with it, but, like, I'm just nervous that, like, we just don't have an heir apparent to what he brings, and I'd love to think York is there. I'd love to think Sanheim is there. I just, like, I don't know.
Just looking at the Flyers D right now, we have Sanheim, Risto, D'Angelo York, Sealer, Walker. It's just like,
you got to think
that's what we want to roll with.
You got to think someone's coming out of camp. I mean, you got to think a guy like Addard, depending on how things shake out and how well he adapts. Maybe Andre pushes for a spot. I don't personally think so.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think
Zamula, like we're so quick to write him off. Like they see something in him because they keep bringing him back up.
Right. I think Torts likes Addard a lot, from what
I think he does too.
Gathered,
and I think can be a decent enough defenseman. I just I see too many people hyping him up to the point where it's like, oh my God, he's fantastic. He's great. His shot, this and that. Like, I want to see more. I just want to see more. And it's not a bad thing. I'm not trying to knock the guy by any means. I just want to see him perform consistently at the NHL level, because in his last game or two, there were some pretty atrocious plays that it's tough to get out of your memory.
Yeah. I look at, not to digress too much, but I look at like the prospects that we had called up, and I think like, York, when he came up 2 years ago, it was like, okay, this guy's a dynamic player, and obviously it didn't pan out for him right at the beginning of the season. But then I think he's obviously established in there. I look at like a player that's ready to come up, and the feeling I get, and it's like, oh, Tyson Forster, like that guy was a game changer for 10 games. When he's sustainable for 82, maybe not, but like that's where I'm like, wow, like this guy is dynamic. I kind of felt that about York, not to the extent of Forrester, but like I haven't felt like that with any of the existing defensive prospects. Now, look, I do think the change of scenery thing is legit for what's the new guy's name? Walker? Is that what Walker? Yep. Just look a year ago how pissed we were that all we got for Claude Giroux was Owen Tippett.
Right.
And now I'm like, Owen, you're my hero.
Right. One lone bright spot to this point.
Right. But I don't know. But the Provorov stuff, like, how much do you guys think the off-ice stuff? I don't think it was the deciding factor, but it certainly didn't.
It certainly weighed.
It certainly didn't.
Dude,
it has
like, some reporter asked Briere about that. I was like, you are such a dumbass for asking that question. Do you really think Briere's gonna be like, yeah, like the Pride night that was the last domino? I'm like, no,
you're right. I agree with you there. I still think it's a fair question to ask though, because there's a dynamic. Like there's a locker room dynamic that if what Provorov did and the actions that he carried through on regarding Pride night struck a nerve with a few people, like that's a fair question to ask, because Pride night's a big thing,
But I think that, going back 3 months or whatever it was, that on top of him like really making a stink over the COVID stuff, which like I get his point, but it's like that was viewed very selfish of him.
The dude,
his press conference blow up.
He's a gamer. Like I can't knock him for being upset that he had to miss 3 games because of COVID. I can't knock the guy.
No.
However,
you
You
put the
gotta
whole
play by
body
the
of work
rules.
together. You put the
Right.
whole body of work together, and that becomes a factor that you can't ignore.
Yeah.
Right. His postseason last year, the interviews, when it comes to them cleaning out
Right.
their lockers like that, I'm sure left a
Mhm.
bit of a bitter taste in some people's mouths.
Yep.
It's
Even-
fair to say.
Even like team events that were open to the public, I've heard that he would just kind of shell himself into a corner,
Distance himself.
Yep.
yeah, and just not interact.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that rubbed a lot. Actually, I'm not sure. It rubbed a lot of people the wrong way.
Right.
Wrong way, because a lot of people brought it up.
How how pissed do you think he is that he's in Columbus now, though? Think about it. The Columbus, I don't want to say it's a laughing stock, but like no one wants
No
to
one wants to go to Columbus, right?
the people that are there want out so bad.
Yeah,
But like all of a sudden, all right, so they had like brutal injury luck last year and had to throw in the towel very early. But like they have a team that on paper isn't terrible.
Mhm.
And I still don't think they're ready to put together. But between Provorov, what's his name, Wierenski,
Bornski.
Were they the
Gaudreau.
2016 draft? Was that what it was?
Um,
Provorov and Wierenski? Like they were the top two defensive prospects.
They were one pick apart.
Yes, and
yeah,
they were
they
the-
were. Yeah,
They were the top two defensive prospects in that draft.
2015 draft. Yeah,
Right.
And now you got them both on one team. Like
yeah.
the whole we talked about change of scenery with Walker. Like I really think it could benefit Provorov, and I hate saying that because it's another Eastern Conference team. But damn,
It's like
dude,
Columbus. Yeah.
yeah, it's Columbus. Until yeah.
Yeah, I think I can't imagine he's thrilled, and I have it on pretty good authority. He's not too pumped, but
Yeah, but
on
the
the
dude's
flip
always
side-
pissed off. So like,
Yeah,
what does
exactly.
it matter?
That's
what
fair.
would besides maybe going to Tampa or Florida, where you're like, oh hell yeah, I got to keep my whole paycheck, and that's dynamite. Just have to worry about hurricanes. I think you're doing okay, but I just look at it, it's like, dude, that salary in Central Ohio, like, dude, that's going the distance right there.
Right.
You can get a castle with a moat and 45 acres right there.
Right.
Isn't
Yeah.
that the like Victoria's Secret? Like, doesn't he live out there? He can just buy that house, right?
But the
Who's
guy
that?
that owns Victoria's Secret.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
I was actually thinking, like, wouldn't it just be crazy if he just rented Atkinson's house? Because I think Atkinson still has a house out there.
I think
He's
all the
right
Atkinson's
now.
families there. Yeah.
Cam, you want to lease? In all honesty, the worst part about this deal is I feel bad for the dog. Like, I feel bad for Provorov's dog.
Well, he's gonna have beautiful farmland to run around to
Poor
instead
Drake.
of like sleazy meth-filled Philly,
Hey, you bite your tongue.
Smoke and meth-filled Philly.
Right now, the East Coast is smoke filled right now.
Wait, are
Thanks,
you getting
Canada.
it out where you are, Derek?
It's not nearly as bad as it is up north, like New York and
Yeah.
where you guys are. But I mean, here in York, like it's noticeable. Like sun's going down right now. You can definitely see a haze, around it.
It looked like the scene from Ghostbusters for a little bit before it was like the sky turned like red and black.
It's like
over.
apocalyptic. It's like,
Right.
holy hell.
It's weird.
Yeah,
Anyway.
it's a strange one.
How
Regardless.
how do you think Provorov's on a fair with Babcock at the helm?
That's a fair point. I gotta say, like, can it be more demanding than Tortorella? Like maybe, but I feel like those are cut
If
from
anybody
the
is,
same
it's
cloth.
Babcock.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. I think they're both cut from the same cloth, and I feel like Babcock I feel like he's just gonna give him a run for his money. Honestly,
Yeah,
worse than Torts ever did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's if coaching was the issue and Provorov's style didn't mesh well with Tortorella, I have no reason to believe it's going to mesh well with Babcock.
Right.
right.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one. Regardless, shortly after the Provorov deal went down, there were even more rumors swirling about a potential Carter Hart deal. And I want to get into the dynamic and maybe the thought process of Briere in regards to this information specifically. So nothing really concrete. They are listening in on offers. And in my mind, I think that's the most intelligent thing to do. I mean, are you guys of the same breath there?
Listening on everything, yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's absolutely no harm in listening, and I think what Briere did was shoot up the flare, saying like, "Hey, I said we're open for business. We're open for business." And
Oh,
whether or not he moves them is a whole other thing. And I'd like to think that Hart, given his age, given his resume to date, even on a dicey couple teams, is gonna pull in a haul. Now, I also continuously hear that goalies never pull in what you think they're gonna pull in.
Especially somebody of that caliber, right?
I'm really split on it because, like, if you think about this team in the rebuild timeline, at least the way that I see it, it's when this like new quote unquote younger core comes into their prime. So, like, the Tippett's, TK is almost like a little bit on the older end, but still like on the, still on the
Right.
fringe there.
He's 26, just like Provorov.
I thought he was 25.
Same
Yeah.
draft.
I think he was same year.
But and then you have Farabee, Frost, York, like all those guys. I feel like that's the young core that they're moving forward with. So like in 2 years, they're going to be in their prime. That's when you need to like be able to like establish like, okay, this is when we need to start making the move. Hart's right there.
Mhm.
And so I'm a little wary of like, it's not like he's a aging beauty that like, has been through the gauntlet. Like this guy's put in 4 years of work, is 24 years old. Do you move him? And I think the only reason that you do is if you have like signals from he and his agent that are like, hey, he's up in a year. A year from now he's up, or 2 years. I don't know.
Next year he's up and he's an RFA.
So, I think that that'd be some deeper discussion, but I don't know. I'm split. I can understand like if you're getting a gangbuster return, like maybe it's worth doing it because you look at a team like Carolina, like they've never gone long on the goaltender. They go, they go big on the rest of their team and have a very even spread attack. So that's my 2 cents anyway.
Yeah. I mean, you got to think it's a smart thing to do. Like, field the offer, see what people are willing to offer up for him. And then if something works out, fantastic. If you can't pass up the offer, then you got to make the move.
Right.
But pulling back, kind of recouping and seeing, it's a methodical approach. And I think it's the best approach to use here because you can't just pull the trigger on the first thing you see. Not even the second thing. Like, you got to know this team's offering this team's offering this. How does this meet our needs? How does that meet our needs? Briere's playing chess right now, and he's doing a damn good job at it.
Yep.
So far.
And the first move that he made, I mean, Christ, like I have no reason to doubt the guy, at least right now, in terms of return. And to Matt Casey's point, Jim says it all the time on High and Wide. The guys, typically goalies don't get the return you think they're going to get. I have a reason to believe that Briere could get a decent return. I don't think it's going to, blow the doors off the place, but I think it could be a pretty good return.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're also basing that off of what we just saw for Provorov. So, like, everybody's kind of going to expect that same kind of return. Honestly, I think Briere's just having fun. I think he's just toying with everybody. And why not?
Let him.
24-year-old goaltender, yeah, we'll field some calls on him.
And then it's like, hey, we're not going to do the Hart thing, but can I interest you in a haze?
Right. Exactly.
Just dangle it out there.
And, like, a lot of people read into like the Cal Peterson like acquisition, and I was like, all right, he's either backing up Hart or he's only going down to the AHL. What does that matter? Like, it's not typically if you see a goaltender trade, it's 1-for-1, and you're swapping them. I don't think that's happening.
And on the other side, people are concerned about what it does for Urson. It's like, does this impact his development? It's like, I don't think so. He's either backing up Hart, getting valuable NHL experience, or he's getting a bulk of the starts in Lehigh Valley. Either way,
most of the starts,
it's going to benefit him either way. I mean, he's going to either get the workload or he's going to get the experience. So one or the other, I'm fine with. Personally, I'd like to see him in the NHL. But, hey, it is what it is, and that's why I'm not the GM.
Right.
So, I mean, is there anything else you guys want to add about the Carter Hart talk or anything like that?
I don't know if you guys saw this earlier, but Ivan Fedotov is apparently almost done with his military service. So I don't know if
I thought he had 2 years.
he played in the championship, the Armed Forces Ice Hockey Championship today,
Sounds legit. Yeah.
and won like 12-0. Shocker.
Right.
So apparently, participating in that completes his service.
Well, thanks for your service, comrade. We'll have you back next year.
Russia's such a
Demobilized.
hilarious country to me.
Demobilized at the beginning of July. So I don't know if you want to read into that. But I saw that right before the pod. And I was like, ooh, that's a little spicy.
I don't want to get into that bullshit again. I had a hard enough time digesting how it all went down originally that just if something like this happens again, where everybody's like, he's done with his service, he's coming to the Flyers, and then all of a sudden, boom, he's drugged again. He's dragged to the Antarctic Circle. Like,
I just Arctic Circle, but okay.
I'm just being more specific.
He
The
was
Antarctic,
wearing
not
pads,
the
if that
other
helps you.
Arctic. Yeah. Drug up to the northernmost point of Russia. I'll put it that way. And say, hey, have fun playing ice hockey here, you putz. Like, no, I don't want to go through that crap again. If he comes over, awesome. I'd love it. Absolutely love it.
That's a nice surprise, but I'm not,
Right.
Right.
Do you think he plays first or Ellis plays first? I don't know.
No.
Oh,
We're playing that game
serious.
again?
This was a serious question. Oh. What league?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
we're talking any league. Feta, for sure. NHL, don't know. Call it a draw.
That's interesting, though. I mean, I don't know. I just like to see the guy out of the goulash and
Right.
into playing some hockey.
Exactly. So, in terms of next moves, we know there's going to be more, probably multiple. Who's the next guy, or I should say, who's the next domino to fall?
I still like the Hayes sniff. I think there was smoke with Hayes and Columbus around the trade deadline, but the rumor was it was gonna wait until the end of till draft time. I still think that that's gonna happen in some way, shape, or form. I think like Columbus needs something. We need something. It's clear that Danny can think and activate more than one team, although Chuck did it with Nashville and Vegas for the worst trade of all time for all parties.
Of any league, too.
But, I think that there's going to be more stuff around Hayes. And it's clear that, Hayes basically said he was like, yeah, I know I'm out of here. So
he put his house up for sale.
did he really?
Yeah.
Telltale sign.
Oh, that's right. I did say that.
In the group chat.
Did he have like dogs playing poker as the art, as like the main
It
art?
was something strange. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Something totally broy. So I'm putting my money on Hayes. I'm not buying the Hart stuff back to that quite yet, but I'll put my money on Hayes. Who else would be on the block though? I'm trying to think.
Let's go back to Hayes here real quick. And the rumor has always been Columbus.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think that this deal with Columbus for Provorov hinders that a little bit or impacts potentially a deal between them for Hayes?
I don't think so. I don't know.
We're about to just call them the Columbus Blue Flyers with Voracek, Provorov.
Yeah, exactly.
Hayes.
I don't think so. I think Columbus clearly sees that they have some needs as well, and I would expect, again, probably a third party thing where we get somebody to retain some of that salary. What's he 7?
Oh, he's the
7 million.
Oh, hey, 7.14 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, 7.14. Yeah.
Someone will retain it, and they'll get a couple of our B-level prospects.
Right. Send over. Yeah. Who else could we send over to them? That would be really enticing.
Who's the other guy? Christ,
Taylor Lazinski, Kiefer Bellows.
Lazinski would be a good one.
Yep.
There's Hayden Hodgson, and then there's another one that everybody was like, get this guy off the goddamn team.
Jerry Mayhew.
No, it wasn't Mayhew. God. It was another like ECHL guy. We were all like, that guy belongs way down there. I can't remember. Shit.
Max
Wait, who
Willman.
Max Willman. Yep.
Max Willman.
Who was the one that Chuck loved that Torts gave him like 2 games, was like, get this guy out of here? Was that Hodgson?
That was Hodgson, I think.
Yeah.
It was one of the two, Hodgson or Willman. He sat him on the bench and he played like 3 minutes in the one game. And he's like,
So,
no, get this guy.
It doesn't
out of
really
here."
matter for Willman. He's a UFA, so hopefully he doesn't. resign.
Whatever.
Right.
Yeah, have
Well,
fun.
I don't know. I think Hayes is the next one to go.
Yeah. What do you think, Hoagie?
I'm thinking D'Angelo, honestly.
Interesting.
I know he was like all gung ho about coming back and making everything work, but like I feel like we're just gonna have a completely different blue line come the start of the season.
He flew too close to the sun and got burned, you know?
Yeah, probably. In Philly right now, getting burned in the air and the sun.
I want to know if D'Angelo stays around. I just want to know more about his interactions with Tortorella. Like, they're gonna come to blows one of these days. They've gotta.
Oh my God, all you do is just mic the two of them up and just turn that into a podcast and be
Oh
like,
my God.
it'd be so good.
It'd
And
be
just like
amazing.
have somebody narrate it like seriously, be like, Tony is obviously not happy. It's like, no.
Just have Morgan Freeman voice it over.
How much of those mic'd up moments for D'Angelo do they have to edit? Because he's probably yelling at
Probably a
somebody
ton of
for being dumb or some stupid thing.
Gotta be. Pierre-Luc Dubois is reportedly seeking a trade and will not sign an extension with the Jets.
Yeah, I saw
There's that. One more
Everybody
name.
saw that
Flyers.
coming when he was traded from Columbus to the Jets.
Two undesirable destinations.
Mr.
Just
You,
let's
if you're
swap
like,
guys for the hell of it.
I'll do anything to get out of Columbus. They're like, cool, you're going to Winnipeg. You're like, son of
It's
Like,
the
God
same
damn
thing. It's Canada's Columbus.
I've been foiled.
with a weaker dollar. No.
I also saw something about Brock Besser being available as well. But I'm just so tired of that name popping up.
Wait, didn't he go to to the Islanders? Who was the dude who went to the Islanders?
Christ, who was that guy that went to the Islanders?
That's not Brock Besser, though.
It's not Besser. No, it was Pat
Brock
Joe a couple years ago.
Brock Besser is a pretty good like porn name.
Horvat.
Yeah, Bo.
Horvat went to the Isles. Yeah, no, Besser. I'm good without him.
Yeah,
I'm good. Yeah. Oh, that's a no from me. I kind of side with Casey on this. I think Hayes is the next one out. The writing's been on the wall. I think it's just fine-tuning things and maybe waiting to the draft to see how things unfold there. If there's other moves that are being made, if one team needs to move this before they move that, whatever. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'll be the next one to fall. But I mean, I could see a world where D'Angelo gets moved as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think like Casey said, I think they're flying a little too close to the sun with all the moves on the blue line here. Because I mean, Christ, man, you can't just flip the entire blue line.
Yeah.
You know, like the only person left standing is Sanheim, and it's because we can't move his goddamn contract. Like that's the only reason.
You got Sealer on there, man. Sealer's a solid.
Sealer's the old man holding it down.
Right.
You know what?
He's the John Travolta looking around like
he's my early favorite for the Barry Ashby Trophy.
There you go.
Good. I hope. I hope. I really do. No, I mean, in terms of, I know this is kind of quick. We're not even 40 minutes in here, but I mean, the major gist of things that we wanted to cover included Provorov being traded, what we got in return, and what the future looks like in terms of potential deals and things like that. What other topics do you think are worth covering today? If any. Are we all shocked that Vegas is up 2-0 on Florida?
Not really, but a little bit. Like I feel like Florida just had. I think Florida's just been through the gauntlet, and I don't know if I guess Vegas has too. I just haven't paid attention because of the time difference. Yeah. But like
they both have. It's the time off. I think that got Florida.
Yeah. What was that about? The whole 4 days.
Who knows?
I just feel like that Boston series was really like such like a high, yeah. And then it's like, oh crap, we got 3 more rounds of this.
They've literally just been playing with house money and just running on emotion. Right. I'm sure it's hitting them, but I think they're going back to Florida, and I think that'll be a big momentum shift for them as well.
The series is far from over. Like, don't get me wrong, but man,
they're 7-2 loss on the road is tough.
Yeah, And they're showing fight. I mean, they're playing so physical right now.
Yeah, I saw something that like they just can't buy a goal. Like it's not for lack of trying.
Who's Vegas' goalie right now?
Aiden Hill.
Who is that? Who the hell is that?
I don't know.
Jonathan Quick ain't doing it right now.
I mean, it's just interesting to see. You have Bob, who will forever be in our heart as the one who got away. But
until Carter Hart gets traded,
right, and then goes on and wins events.
2 years later, yep.
But what's Bob making? Like $10
million a year.
Yeah,
tax free
money.
Like Jesus Christ, like that's a legit 10. And I can't imagine Aiden Hill is making anywhere close to that. And so it's like I think it's a case study in terms of like, does paying a franchise goalie that much money pay off? And you could argue it goes one way or the other. It's a whole team, but like that's a lot of money to pump into a goalie.
Should we call it Brizgalov?
Briz, Jesus Christ.
17, right?
So Aiden Hill's making like 2.15 right now, and he's an RFA at the end of the season.
Pick him up.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
Cal Peterson.
He's a UFA. I'm sorry, not an RFA, a UFA.
Oh, there you go. Even better.
27 years old.
And
that's about the time.
Dude, that guy will make bank. He'll have a haul.
Dude, he'll cash in for sure. Like, did you see what I did? I won a Stanley Cup with Vegas. I backstopped him.
Hasn't yet.
Well, I mean,
took him to the Cup final.
Yeah, I think they'll win.
Or it becomes a Michael Layton and just never does it again.
Poor Michael Layton. Love that man.
No, I would say it's exciting. We've been dormant for several weeks now, and I would just say it's exciting to be back into like actual Flyers talking enough. It's been 2 years of talking basically and seeing really crappy moves, and just to see this come to fruition, I'm like, okay, now a little bit more excited. And like, there's the reality that like this season they're going to play hard. I don't know if they'll do any better, but it's going to be it'll be a tough season, I think. But
I think we're in store.
Said it's gonna take time.
Yep.
The quicker we can come to terms with that, I think the better. But regardless, I know the past couple weeks we haven't had an episode, so Hoagie hasn't had a chance to tell a dad joke. I don't even think he has one ready.
Quite some time. Hold on.
Oh, he does have it ready?
I got something here.
We're doing this essentially in spite of John. I know He's either listening right now. He's not listening right now, but he'll listen, and he'll probably want to bang his head against the window on the train or something.
What is this? Oh, boy. No.
Oh, sorry. I found Hayes's apartment picture. His centerpiece was a Biggie Smalls.
I found it too.
My man.
What a fucking monkey. Oh shit.
All right. What do you call a book club that's been stuck on the same book for years?
Boring.
No idea.
Church.
That's good. A cult. All right. Closing things out here, Hoagie. Follow up. Where are they going to be able to find you?
Pod Street Hose on the Twitter app.
All right. And Casey?
Hey, Pod Street Casey on Twitter.
All right.
Yeah.
Spelled out.
Lovely. You can find this podcast on all
Sorry.
your...
Hold on.
Oh.
I just wanted to go through. I have officially won the Pod Street Bullies Stanley Cup Bracket Challenge.
Blow it out your ass.
I have Vegas in the finals.
Oh, I hate you. I hate you.
My bracket was screwed in the first round.
Oh, mine was done after Boston went out, because I had Edmonton winning, so that was my lone hope.
I had Boston and the Avalanche going to the finals.
Boston. John and I both had Boston and Edmonton, and I think he had Boston winning. I had Edmonton winning.
Yep.
So I think technically I'll come in third, and John lost.
No, I lost. I'm done.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah. So yeah, Hoagie, I came in second. I'll take that.
Whatever, I won.
Screw John.
Either way, no one remembers second place. Who gives a shit? You can, filling in for John as best as I can. You can find this podcast on all your various podcast listening receptacles. If you can't Google us. You'll find us.
And if you're listening, then you found us.
There you go.
Dun,
Props
dun,
to Casey.
dun.
To be continued. Anyways, I'm Pod Street Bob on Twitter. John's Pod Street Gove. We are Pod ST Bullies on Twitter. You can find us on Twitter at that handle. Find us, whatever. Anyways, shout out to our affiliates, Flyers High and Wide. They're on Twitter at FlyersHW, and our buddies over at the 5 Minute Major Podcast. They're on Twitter at 5Min Major Pod. That's it for us, folks. And until there's some more notable news to discuss, which I think might be soon, we'll see you again next time.
Bye now.